Okay. There's a lot of Turks in the chat, and they'll be probably coming in and out periodically because this was the election. This was the day of the Turkish election. I'm sure they'll come in and talk about how terrible they're feeling because Recep Tayyip Erdogan has won once again. Pretty official. It's over. It's Jover. Recep Tayyip Erdogan won. We'll talk about that a little bit. But Erdoğan, long live Erdoğan. Erdoğan kazandı. Evet doğru. Erdoğan ise Suriye ortalığın amına koyacaksınız. O yüzden umurunuzda halkınız çok cahil olduğu için seçim günü gelmez. Yabancılar izliyor ya. Ezan sesini duyuyor. Türkler Araplar gibi sanacak. Oradan rahatsız oluyor. Orospu çocuğu. Wait, what? This guy went from being like the basic borderline like anti-Arab Turk. Oh, never mind. Oh no, he's just saying like never mind. That's not, I misunderstood. No, he's just like, he straight up is like, no, it's great. Erdogan won. I'm happy. He's going to keep killing terrorists in Syria. We're not going to be America's dogs. Like as though the Turkish involvement in Syria is literally not at the behest of the United States State Department. Like, that's so funny. Ya tabii Erdoğan zaten Suriye'de yaptıklarını kendi için yapıyor. Evet. Amerika'nın köpeği değilsin değil mi? Salak herif. Geri zekalı. NATO'dayız abi. Salaksın. Yani yemişsin. Yarrağı zaten yemişsin. Farkında değilsin. Her zaman konuştuğun zaman ağzından zaten onun tadı var yani devamlı. Ama hiç aklında bile değil yani. Öyle bir yemişsin ki beynine girmiş yani direkt olarak. Yarrak. Salak herif. Geldi bana Amerika'nın köpeği olmayacağız. En büyük ortağımız Rusya'yı kaybetmeyeceğiz. Ağla kudur. Bana ne oğlum, ben Amerika'dayım gerizekalı. Yani kuduran bir herif varsa sensin yani günün sonunda. Bana gelmiş bana şey yapıyor ya. Amerikalı adama gelmiş kudur diyor salak herif. Oğlum kaç yaşındasın sen? En yani ne 20 yaşında adamsın. Ananın namına koymuşlar. Hayatın boyunca yani doğduğun günden beri bok gibi Türkiye. Salak salak Erdoğancıyız diyorsun yani. İnanamıyorum. Anyway. Was Kılıçdaroğlu good though, or was he not bad as well? I mean, Kılıçdaroğlu is a cookie cutter fucking liberal social democrat guy, okay? It doesn't matter though. In a place like Turkey, in many places, it's a battle between the most corrupt institution and like, a feckless institutionalist that will be like still corrupt, but nowhere near as bad. That's it. It's literally like, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And honestly, after a while, the hard place seems a lot nicer than the rock. You know what I mean? Because the rock is just killing you every day, slowly but surely. Kılıçdaroğlu is not a cookie cutter liberal, man. He used to be a revolutionary. He's a sock them. Okay, brother. Look, if we're going to talk about actual economic policy of the Erdogan regime, beyond the fucking actual corruption, he is like the number one greaser of like people's pockets. There's a reason why he was able to captivate 50% of the fucking vote no matter what. Okay? And that's because he's doing cash infusions. Like he just straight up would just give people money to vote for him, okay? He also would at the very least engage in like some level of development, or at least like give FaceTime to underdeveloped areas in Turkey. So they still love him, okay? So ultimately, from the economic policy principles, like Erdogan, a rugged privateer, by the way, like straight up one of the, in the early stages of this administration, they privatized national sectors, right? But he still is seen now as like almost like a UBI guy. You know what I mean? So if you're looking at it through like a Western lens, it's going to be very difficult for you to comprehend, because Erdogan, for all of his faults and failures, is still very much like popular, partially because of the obvious religious conservatism that he harps on, partially because he's seen as like an anti imperialist figure, anti-America, anti-Western figure. And that plays really well, even though it's not the truth, obviously. If you're like even a little bit sane, you recognize like, oh no, of course, he's not like really an anti-Western figure. He's in NATO. He's doing everything he can. Okay. Kılıçdaroğlu literally in the last moment decided to harp on the nationalist heartstrings, hoping that maybe he could get that on vote, like the 5% over to his side, by being like, oh yeah, no, we're definitely gonna like purge the refugees. Like literally in the 1 week time frame between like the first election leading up to the runoffs, he was like, oh yeah, no, I promise, like we'll just be real bad to the refugees, like we're gonna kick them out or whatever the fuck, or we're just not gonna let anyone else in, and like, good luck. I mean, it's just like, and he ran a perfect campaign before that, though. It's not like he liked that rhetoric. It doesn't matter. My point is, it's still lost. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the unfortunate reality is that Turkey, or at least enough Turkish people, would 100% prefer, as you saw, a despotic, religious fucking weirdo who is openly corrupt. Anyone again? You know what I mean? Abi Türkiye'ye gelmeyi düşünüyor musun? Hayır. Anyway. What's this guy saying? I like that the Americans are trying to understand what like the Turkish people are saying in the chat. That dude is saying like we like orc style politics. We're like fucking stupid. A lot of Turks are gonna say that they are disappointed with their fellow Turks today, which is understandable. I mean, that's like 30 years of getting ass fucked. Okay, of course they're gonna. Of course they're gonna be in their feelings today. Anyway. Okulan yazılarımı. Birazdan yiyeceğim, bana haberin olsun. Son mesajlarıma bak, korkak diyor. Oğlum ne korkacağım, gerizekalı senden. Zaten direkt olarak forçenli Türklerdensin yani. Bu ne, bu PFP ne? Amcık ağızlı. Senin götünü sikeyim ben. Gerizekalı. Amerikalı olmak istiyorsun ama aynı zamanda da çomarsın yani. Hangisisin? Bir öğrensene, bir kendini bul yani önce. Anlatabiliyor muyum? Bir yandan hem Amerikalı esprileri yapmaya, Amerikalı sağcı esprileri yapmaya çalışıyorsun. Hem bir yandan da yazdığın yazılara bak. Oo, biz Amerika'nın köpeği değiliz. Ulan sen hem Erdoğan'ın köpeğisin, Erdoğan da Amerika'nın köpeği. Sen köpeğin köpeğisin lan. Ağla, dünyanın ekonomik yaptırımlarını yapın, hala ticaretimiz sağlam. This guy is saying, keep crying. You can do everything you can, like you can do all the world's, economic development, but our trade is still solid. What trade? Ekmek olmuş 14 lira. Bu adam hala diyor ki ticaretimiz sağlam. Oğlum, PVC misin? Çimento musun amına koyayım? Baban çimento mu? Ne diyorsun lan, ticaretimiz sağlam diyor. Seni mi paketleyip sallıyorlar, gönderiyorlar başka yerlere? Gerizekalı. Tam bir salak ya, inanamıyorum. NPC ama tam gerizekalı NPC. Abi ticaret çok sağlam. Sanki sen yapıyorsun ticareti amına koyayım. Orada gidiyor şey yiyecek. Tavuk döner yiyecek, olmuş 25 lira. Hala bana ticaret diyor burada gerizekalı ya. Ne ticareti amına kodum? Sen misin ticaretçi? Twitch'te yazı yazıyorsun sadece gerizekalı. Bir de Erdoğan'a yazıyorsun. This guy's talking about fucking trade when like the dollar is literally like 20 fucking lira. Tavuk döner 56 lira abi bugün yedim. Oha. Sadece tavuk döner yemedim. Bunu da yedin onun yanında. 25 lira nerede? Çabuk söyle. These guys are living. It's really funny to see this because in many ways these guys are just the same as like the American Trump guys who are like Trump gave the greatest tax cuts in American history. He's an economic leader and it's like, bro, what are you saying? Like you literally make like maximum 70 grand a year in Oklahoma. Like you didn't see the tax cuts, brother. That's not for you, you fucking idiot. Ironically, in many instances, you're coming to a guy who actually is a beneficiary of the fucking tax cuts. You know what I mean? It's so weird. You're like, this guy's like blindly talking about how great trade is in Turkey. Okay? Gayet mutluyum hayatımdan, kendi ülkene bak. Her gün mass shooting, school shooting ile yaşamaya, ben ülkemde huzur içindeyim. He's saying you got too many mass shootings and school shootings, which is true, we do. And I'm fucking duking with the same fucking idiotic brain dead morons here in America as the same mentality persists in Turkey too in the same way. The irony literally is just turning around and being like, bro, the trade is so good. It's like, yeah, dude. Yeah, you know, that's why the German Turks can come in and like buy your country now. You know, it's so good. Like, do you not live in Turkey? Like, how do you have this kind of attitude when you got like hyperinflation? It's insane to say this. It's insane to say this. Like, what are you fucking celebrating? Refresh at ulan kahpe. Son mesajlarıma bak. Korkma. Avrupa'da %10 enflasyon oluyor. Yarrağı yedik diye düşüyorlar. Bizde 300'e yakın enflasyon var. Hala ihracatımız durmadı. Amına koyayım salağa. Az kafanı kumdan çıkar. $1 167 Japon parası ediyor. Onların ekonomisi kötü oldu anlamına gelmez. Mal oğlum al. Evet. Japonya'nın ekonomisi de çok iyi değil ama Japonya'nın ekonomisi Türkiye ile aynı değil, geri zekalı. Herif Japonya ekonomisini kendisine şey yaptı. Karşılaştırıyor. Çok iyisin abi. Yok, eyvallah. Sen you're doing it. Geri zekalı. Japonya'da 500 yenle aldığın yemek Türkiye'de yarrağımı alırsın o paraya. Anlatabiliyor muyum? Japonya'nın conversion'ı yüksek ama liraya gönderemezsin yani. Liraya compare edemezsin. Günün sonunda Japonya'nın alım gücü Türk alım gücüyle aynı değil. Gerçi senin alım gücün çok iyi. Yani götten bahsediyorum tabii. Yani sen almayı var ya resmen bilime döndürmüşsün yani. Yani senin alım gücün çok iyi. Ama ne aldığını bilmiyorum yani. Hayvan oğlu hayvan ya. Japonya'da sent yok. Ondan aslında 1.67 dinleme onlara. Evet, günün sonunda da yani yen conversion'ı doğru değil yani Amerikan dolarıyla. It's such a wild concept because like if this shit, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know how I talk about Americans are cucked? Americans are cucked. They have like a brain broken mentality. They don't recognize that they're getting fucked. This guy literally has a dick in his ass and he doesn't recognize it. Now, let me tell you why. If the level of hyperinflation that's happening in Turkey happened in America, there would literally be like mass violence happening on a daily basis. The one component in the United States of America that has always kept regardless of anything else, regardless of how expensive like the cost of living has become, okay? The one thing that always has been relatively stable in comparison to a country like Turkey or in comparison to other countries is food prices, okay? Commodity prices have gone up year over year. That's how inflation happens. You look at the inflation in this country right now is like 10% or 8%. People go crazy over it, right? People are very upset. It becomes a major political issue. Turkey's at like 200%, and this motherfucker is still literally living in that situation and going, nah, dude, you don't get it. Things are totally fine. Our economy is vibrant right now. Bro, the mass shooting, loving Americans would literally get up in arms if they had even a fraction of the inflation that Turkish people are experiencing. Okay? It's crazy. They justify it in Turkey because they think they're holding out against Western hegemony. They're half right, but no thanks to Erdogan. It's just so fucking stupid. Good thing you talk about this after the election. I mean, I've talked about this before the election too, but my audience is predominantly American and predominantly Western. What fucking needle am I moving in Turkey? You know what I mean? Like there's not much I can do about the Turkish elections. You know what I mean? I am a primarily English-speaking political commentator who covers American news. I every now and then will talk about Turkish news as well. Every time I click a chatter who's calling Turks stupid today, they're Turkish. Yeah, 100%. Every time someone says fuck Turkish people, they're so fucking stupid, it's going to be a Turkish person today. Anytime someone is actually glazing Turkish people and saying like, no, the situation is great, they're going to be one of these fucking NPCs. Tuncelili Alevi Kemal gelse sen de mutlu olacaktın. Kilisli Kürt seni. He said he's being, that's fucking mint, dude. He's being Turkish racist. See, this is like okay, so he hit me with the racism combo. You know how like in Europe it's against Romanis, in Turkey it's Kurdish people and Arabs for the most part too, but like this guy says he's saying like Tuncelili Alevi Kemal Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu is Alevi, and Tuncelili I guess implies that he's like socialist, right? That's what he's saying. And then he turns around and he says, if he came into power, you'd be happy because you're Kurdish. You're a Kurd from Kilis. Gül bıydı gelme Türkiye'ye götünü sikerler orada söyleyeyim. Gelmem o zaman amına koyayım. Çok kolay benim için. Reis ile devam. Anytime someone says reis, unless they're saying it ironically, that means chief. They're talking about Erdogan. That's the fucking Erdogan dick riders. That's what they call him. They call him chief. Meanwhile, he's fucking, you're chiefing on his penis a little bit. You know what I mean? Keep munching though, bro. Situation will be better for you. I promise one day. But yeah, this guy is saying if you come to Turkey, we'll kill you, which is funny. That's abi Tayyip'i mi destekliyorsun? Lan neyi destekliyorum lan? Tayyip'i destekler miyim? Manyak mısınız lan? Oğlum saçma sapan konuşmayın. Burada Amerika'da Donald Trump'a laf ediyorum. Niye Tayyip'e? Türkiye'nin Donald Trump'ına niye Hasan harbi akıllı gurbetçisin. Oğlum akıllı gurbetçisin ne demek lan? Ben 18 yaşına kadar Türkiye'de yaşadım. Ankaralıyız. Ankara bebesiyiz. Bana gelmiş burada şey diyorsun, gurbetçi diyorsun. Tamam yani son 12 senedir burada yaşıyorum. 13 senedir burada yaşıyorum ama yani günün sonunda ilk 18 senesini Türkiye'de yaşadık. Yapmayın etmeyin arkadaşlar. Amerika'daki Türklerin çoğu FETÖ'cü mü? Valla ben burada fazla Türk görmüyorum. O yüzden konuşamam bununla ilgili. Ama biliyoruz yani Enes Kanter'e devamlı laf ediyor. Enes Kanter'e devamlı laf ediyorum. Biliyorsunuz Enes Kanter burada FETÖ'cünün önde gideni. NBA'de de çok laf sokuyorlar Enes Kanter'e çünkü çok boktan oynuyor. Geri zekalı. Anyway, ekonomi önemli değil. TR için Hasan anlamış olduk. Turks in the chat asking me how penetratable is the Mexican border to the United States of America. Motherfuckers are like gonna come to Mexico and try to cross the border into the United States, bro. I don't know. Valla giremezsiniz Meksika'dan abi. Çok kötü Amerika'da ya. Anasını sikiyor insanların yani. For the Turks in the chat coming from a Brazilian, remember that the loss today, also the fault of the opposition that didn't build up a good enough campaign, is up to you guys to go to the streets and keep fighting. Sooner or later, victory will come, but not without a fight. Damn, Brazilians are showing Turks solidarity. It happens, you know. Jair Bolsonaro, but Bolsonaro was like a one-off, you know what I mean? Like Lula has always been a powerful figure. There's always been a powerful alternative. There's never been a powerful alternative to Erdogan in Turkey. That's the unfortunate reality. Like even in the original Erdogan era, like you have what Deniz Baykal, who was awful. You know what I mean? So there was never like a viable leftist opposition to the authoritarian leadership of Erdogan. Lula was unjustifiably jailed, but Lula also had a profound impact in Brazil with his economic development policies, with his policies around literacy. Like, you know what I mean? There was a guy before. There was never a powerful alternative, and one. It's much more difficult to build a powerful alternative from the left in a country like Turkey when Recep Tayyip Erdogan is like ruling the country with an iron fist. You know what I mean? Only made worse by the fact that there is like a real justification for some of the authoritarian measures. Like, not to say that his authoritarianism is justifiable in any meaningful capacity, but like, he'll say this person is a Fethullah Gulen supporter, and then he'll arrest them, right? But also, there are Fethullah Gulen supporters, and there is a parallel government to a certain degree, one that is backed by the American state. Wait, why are people saying F? So, but like it's by no means justifiable to jail every kind of fucking viable political opposition in the way that Erdogan has. It fucking sucks, and I don't know what the actual alternative is, and I don't know how to fix it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. My old boss was a feta supporter, feta cheese, and I went to one of his charter schools. That's not surprising. That's how powerful Fethullah Gulen's cult is, because they get the full support of the fucking CIA. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you are backed by the CIA. My man said feta supporter, like feta cheese. Do you believe it's possible that the vote was cheated in any way? Election fraud such as ballot box stuffing? No, I think that's copium. I think that there's always like some discrepancies for sure. It happens. But I think the reality is, and I've said this before, Turkish elections are not fair, but they are free in the sense that you could technically democratically overthrow the government in Turkey for sure. But the problem is you can't, because Erdogan still has a popular coalition. But part of the reason why there is a truly popular coalition is because the elections are not fair. And what I mean by that is, like, it's impossible to launch a campaign against Erdogan if he wants to. He could just fucking jail you. if he, there is that. And the media is entirely under his control. You know what I mean? Hep son ana kadar umutluydum ama Atatürk'ü bırak Hazreti Muhammed bile şu Şam şeytanının karşısına alamazdı resmen bunun destekçileri tarikat. Yeah. Like the Twitter suppression of like whoever the fuck Erdogan feels is like Fethullah Gülen supporters, which he will utilize against anyone and everyone, so don't be fucking foolish. That kind of stuff is like lower end suppression. Okay? It is not something that you can comprehend with like Western sensibilities. It's just like the entirety of the media is completely and utterly controlled by pro-Erdogan elements. That's it. Everyone is pro-Erdogan. There's like very, very little alternative media that is not pro-Erdogan. So when you have an environment like that, even through a tremendous amount of economic instability, and that volatility is actually what creates a perfect environment for some kind of like counter movement to actually gain momentum. It still doesn't matter. They are able to dull the masses into submission. They are able to make it seem like they're doing great. They're doing a great job. Even when they're not. Apparently, a professor I had last semester held a conference with Gülen supporters in the Department of Religious Studies, got threats from the Turkish government that they were housing terrorists. I mean, Fethullah Gülen is a terrorist in the sense that like, I mean, he is a CIA asset, like 100%. You know what I mean? So his existence is what Erdogan uses to further justify any kind of suppression. But yeah, Fethullah Gülen is a fucking a terrorist in the sense that like, Fethullah Gülen is a terrorist in the sense that, you know, many of the American assets are terrorists. It's true. It's very odd to talk about it because it's not black and white. You know what I mean? Is he like Juan Guaido? No, he's infinitely more successful than Juan Guaido. I mean, here, let me show you something. Okay, this is real. This is why I say the elections are you know, they're not fair, but they're free in the sense that like there is a real amount of pro-Erdogan support in the country. The number being like 51% plus or 50% plus is real. This is outside of the fucking palace tonight. The economy is shit. There's like a lot of suppression of civil liberties. And these are the motherfuckers that are celebrating it, bro. Like, I mean, it's just wild. If the earthquake happened closer to the election, would that have moved the needle? No. No. Bro, the earthquake struck regions voted 70% plus for Erdogan in the last round. No, man. These motherfuckers would have been like literally casting ballots from under the rubble, okay? Nah, dude. No, it literally helped them. I don't know how. I actually don't understand it. Like, I don't get it. I don't know. They don't, like, it's hard to understand. It's hard to comprehend But like the example I use is West Virginia, right? You look at these motherfuckers in West Virginia, it's like plus 35 red state, right? And it's like the Republicans have fucked them over and over again for years, right? But they still vote for the Republican Party. They love Republicans, right? It's like kind of a similar thing where they just don't think that it's like the fault of the party that has been like ass fucking them nonstop. And it's the same principle. These guys see an earthquake, they experience it, they fuck their friends and their family members die, and like they can't comprehend that the reason for why that happened is because of like 30 years of corruption. They just think like, nah, it's just God did that, but also you know, Erdogan is doing his best. Like we're still in support of him. He's doing a very good job. The opposition is like they're British spies or they're English spies. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, Turkish lira slips as Erdogan claims victory. The Turkish lira slipped towards a fresh record low against the dollar as the president Recep Tayyip Erdogan claimed victory in the country's presidential election on Sunday, a win that would steer his increasingly authoritarian rule into a third decade. Currency opened at 20 to the dollar. 20. $1 is 20 fucking liras, dude. It's crazy. And because the Turkish economy is pegged on the dollar, that means like, that doesn't fucking mean that it's good for the Turkish people, because then every price goes up. Like everything. The price of everything is basically off of like it feels like the Turkish people exist under the dollar. Like they're buying things. Their purchasing power goes down when this shit happens. It's not just like good for trade per se. Okay? It's not like it's not like what you can purchase for 20 lira stays the same. No, it doesn't. You raise money for the victims of earthquakes, but not calling them mofo? Wait, what do you mean? Brother, it don't matter if they're fucking pro Erdogan. They don't deserve to fucking die. What kind of stupid shit is this? I talk about this all the time. What do you mean? I don't give a shit. You know, of course I'm going to still fucking raise funds for earthquake relief. That is an insane take. Bro, imagine you left Turkey 15 years ago. $1 was 2 lira. Yeah. And even that was like kind of wild. Hasan gerçekten AKP verdi diye yardımlarım haram olsun diyenler var. Ama benim sikimde değil o insanların perspektifi. Ben öyle bir insan değilim. Like a bag of chips is 25 lira is what this guy is saying. When I lived in Turkey, last time I was in Turkey, 2009, a bag of chips was like 3 lira, 2 lira, okay? Think about that. 1 lira. Think about that shit. That is insane, dude. Anyway. Trump voters and Erdogan voters are the same in your opinion? Yes. Conservative reactionary movements are very identical universally, globally, okay? They're very similar to one another. The way that they experience the world, the way that they fucking refuse to comprehend certain realities. I mean, people still have a way to live. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, no matter what happens, you still figure out you still figure it out, right? Lady Galadriel says, if I take a video of what's happening in Istanbul at the moment, you wouldn't believe. They've been in the streets since 7 p.m. and it's 11 p.m. They're making noise, celebrating like crazy, and literally mentally sick. The sad part is it's the same scene happening in Lebanon and Syria and other shithole Middle East. Okay, chill. I don't care anymore. I'm going to apply the U.S. visa. I already work in an American company as a software developer. You think Erdogan doing you think Elon doing Erdogan's bidding had a tiny effect? No. No. I don't think so. I think it's so marginal that's not that big of a deal. I mean, what it says about Elon is much more significant in my opinion. Like Twitter is marginal, brother. Everyone watches television, and TV is entirely captive to Erdogan's interests. Guys, the way I describe this is like this, okay? So there's TV channels, right? Before the last election, this was the runoff, right? Before the last election, Erdogan delivered Erdogan basically delivered a how can I describe this in American terms? Like he had like a teleconference, right? He had like a televised appearance. And that televised appearance was on every single channel. It'd be like Cartoon Network was playing it. You know what I mean? Like understand. Like it would be like HBO would be playing Erdogan's televised appearance. Like every channel played it. Like it wasn't just like the news networks. It was literally every fucking channel in the country that showed his appearance, okay? In that time slot. It's like it's not something that you can like comprehend with like Western sensibilities in a way. It's not like a State of the Union address, okay? Because the State of the Union address is not being played on the Disney network. You know what I mean? So he did that shit, and the opposition has none of that. If you look at like the actual, and this wasn't an emergency broadcast, this was just for him to basically prop up his campaign one last time before the election. Okay? And the thing is, like, the opposition would get like 30 seconds of airtime, and then Erdogan would get hours and hours and hours of airtime about like how great he's doing, how wonderful, and how hard they're trying to like uplift Turkey. And Turkey is also a country with a lot of like, you know, hyper nationalistic sensibilities. Even the most average Turkish person still is like, by Western standards, like an ultra nationalist. You know what I mean? So in a country like that, there is a lot of like collectivist sentiment that you can really harp on, where you can say like, oh, we're all together. We're fighting against the, you know, Western demons. We're fighting against liberal degeneracy, you know, liberal perverts. Okay? Like when you, even on the left, even like the leftist coalition, the liberal coalition still had like, you know, they were still trying to express as much nationalistic sentiment as they possibly could, but it was nothing in comparison to like Erdogan, who did it, you know, who controls it. Just like when the Democrats will prop up like a patriotic military veteran against like a Republican that has never served, and the Republican that never served is seen as like significantly more patriotic than the veteran that the Democratic Party is putting forward. Erdogan called the CHP gay straight up. Yeah, he did. I saw that on Russia. I saw the Russia Today title. I don't know if he actually did that. I mean, it was pretty funny. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, he did do that. He did say that. Erdogan calls opposition pro-LGBT at the election rally. Elsewhere, protesters threw stones at Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, a member of the main opposition Republican People's Party, during an election rally. They threw stones, bro. They're literally like, they're like animals, dude. I swear to God. Hayvan abi, ne anlatayım ki? Hayvan değil, yaratık. At his rally in Istanbul, the president was appealing to his conservative Muslim voter base. AK Parti, AKP, and other parties in our alliance would never be pro-LGBT because family is sacred to us. We will bury those pro-LGBT in the ballot box. Erdogan has toughened his rhetoric against the gay community in recent years, frequently labeling members deviants. On Sunday, he also attacked his key election rival, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who heads the main opposition alliance. My people will not allow drunks and boozers to take the stage. Erdogan also said, Mr. Kemal, you can drink barrels of it. Nothing can cure you, he said. Erdogan, following his re-election, said the LGBT cannot infiltrate among us. Sus. We will be reborn. The family is sacred. The violence against women is forbidden. You know what's really funny about this take? Is that, like, they are, just like the American conservatives, okay, anti-LGBT, pro-child marriage, okay? This coalition that Erdogan has put together has motherfuckers who literally openly advocate for fucking children, okay? They're pro-child brides. It's not even a joke. Like, they openly say it. It's like the Republicans identically, okay? It's like the conservatives in the same exact way. They're like, none of that gay shit. That's degeneracy, but also pro-children getting married. And if you think that's just Islam, no, it's not. Shut the fuck up, idiot. I hate that because it's happening in America too. It's so fucking stupid. You can't, like, your brain is so goddamn dense. You don't even understand it. I just made a comparison to fundamentalists, to religious fundamentalists here in the United States of America doing the same shit. It's right wing, okay? Just stop thinking like it's just Islam or anything like that. It's just right wing dumb motherfuckers, okay? That's it. It's it. You think Matt Walsh is Muslim? Huh? You think he says Bismillahirrahmanirrahim before he starts his fucking commentary about Target? Mahmoud Walsh. Also, none of these motherfuckers are like actually religious, okay? It's just bullshit. It's just a facade. It's a facade to get like dumb motherfuckers in rural areas to vote for them. That's it. Ümmetin lideri Matt Walsh. Aynen. Mehmet Walshoğlu. Yeah. Mahmut Walsh. Walshoğlu. Din kardeşlerimiz ama camiye gitmiyorlar. Yeah, here. This is Mahmut.
It is not. In fact,
this is not Mehmet Walshoğlu, okay? This is just American Matt Walsh. So strange that they have the same exact attitude. You know what I mean?
öyle bir haykıralım ki Ankara bunu duysun.
How's this guy not dead yet? That's the thing I don't understand. I mean, I do understand it. Evil never dies, bro. I swear to God.
İstanbul'un tüm ilçeleri bunu duysun. Kardeşlerim, bu CHP LGBT'ci midir?
CHP LGBT'ci midir? I'm sorry. It's like funny to hear literally the same rhetoric from this fucking monkey, okay? This fucking animal over here. Jesus Christ, dude. LGBT'ci midir?
Bu HDP LGBT'ci midir? Bu İyi Parti LGBT'ci midir?
He's saying like every single, he's asking the crowd, he's doing crowd work. He's saying, you know, all the opposition coalition parties, like one by one, he's calling them out saying, are they LGBTG, which is LGBT supporters, basically. Yeah, he's doing his call and response. Yeah, just like the fucking idols that we watched yesterday. That's his call and response. And the audience goes, ugh, ugh. LGBT'ci midir? Ugh.
O yanındaki bazı ufaklıklar var. Onlar da LGBT'ci midir?
He's saying there's like little tiny infants next to them, and they're also pro LGBT.
Peki AK Parti'ye LGBT sızabilir mi?
He asks, can the LGBT infiltrate the AKP? And they go, no! The crowd goes wild. LGBT'ci midir?
MHP'ye sızabilir mi? Cumhur İttifakı'nın diğer üyelerine sızabilir mi? İşte unutmayın. Yunus'un her dem yeniden doğarız. Bizden kim usanası dediği gibi her seçim bizim için bir yeniden doğuştur. Bizde aile kutsaldır. Aileye
Yeah, he's saying family is holy, okay? In our understanding of the world.
kimse dil uzatamaz.
No one can speak out against the family.
Kadına şiddet bizde yasak,
No violence towards women. We do not allow it.
haramdır.
It's haram. So this part is actually really interesting. So let me say something. First of all, there's a lot of femicide in Turkey. Obviously, there's a major problem with that. But having said that, Turkey has always had like aggravating like what's the term for it? So in Turkey, in the laws, if you actually do harm towards women or children, it has like an additional penalty on top of it. So technically, in a weird way, like it enhances your punishments, and that is something that is true. There is literally it will add additional like an aggravating enhancement. Like it's an aggravating factor. So technically he's not wrong about that, even though it's like not necessarily utilized, because there's like plenty of fucking there's plenty of violence towards women. So but that's why he's saying that.
Buna kimse tevessül edemez. Ve ümüğünü sıkarız.
Ümüğünü sıkarız ne demek lan? He said we'll squeeze the ümük ne? Ümüğünü sıkarız ne demek lan? Yani boğazını. Oh, okay. He's saying we'll choke them. Throat. Okay, neck. But like he said it in a very weird way.
Önümüzdeki dönemde milletimize ne söz verdiysek onu yapacağız. Yerine getiremeyeceğimiz hiçbir sözü vermeme prensibimize de bağlı kalacağız.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna fulfill all my promises, blah blah blah, all this shit. Yeah, it's yeah. Translation confirmed. Citizen Free Press. Yeah. This is what they fucking said. What the fuck is this? Dr. Robert Malone Pfizer interview? Jesus Christ, dude. If you would like to listen to Erdogan singing, lol, what the fuck? Wait, what? No, there's no way. Is this ulan şarkı mı söylüyor bu herif?
Hazır mısınız?
kolay mı sanıyorsun? Söyleyelim şimdi tüm dünya duysun.
What the fuck is this? What? Yo, I did not know this. What the fuck? Okay, that's it. No American leader would ever do that. No American leader could ever do that, okay? What the fuck? Yo! Yo! What the fuck? Okay, now I take it back. You know he's off that Zaza. There is no way this motherfucker doesn't actually drink, okay? Or smoke. Something. No way, dude. Bu adam içmiyor mu yani şimdi? İnanmıyorum. %100. Çekip geliyordur bunların mitinglere. Yok artık yani. Öyleydi ama son zamanlarda kalktı. Legal olarak kaldıramadılar. But they still lower the femicide crime though. Good behavior in court, which means you just wear a suit.
Sormayanlara biz onu seviyoruz. Çok seviyoruz.
What the fuck? He's not even singing along with the song. He's just singing to his own beat. You know what I mean? He's like the baby. Bro, who does this motherfucker think he is, bro? He thinks he's spitting. Abi rezil oldu, kapat. Oğlum daha ne rezil olacaksınız zaten. Bitti amına koyayım, bitti. Ne oldu? Dolar 20 lira olmuş abi. Zaten bundan daha yüksek ne olacak? Dolar 100 lira olacak amına koyayım her söylediği şarkıdan sonra. What does seviyorum mean? It means I love it.
Çok seviyoruz.
He said we love Istanbul. We love it a lot.
Üsküdar'ı çok seviyoruz.
Bro, what the fuck? I can't believe this. This is unacceptable. That's unacceptable, dude.
Hazır mısınız?
Önceden dediğine bak LGBT ile ilgili.
Yılındaki Erdoğan LGBT'li yurttaşlar için, o yönelimdeki insanlar için bakın ne demiş.
Bir defa yani eşcinsellerin de kendi hak ve özgürlükleri çerçevesinde
He's talking about rights for gay people, like queer
bir
people.
defa yasal güvence altına alınması şart.
He says we must. Oh my God. He literally said we must 20 years ago. Okay? 20 years ago, Erdogan, before he became like the Erdogan that you know, literally saying we must defend LGBT rights.
Zaman zaman bazı televizyon ekranlarında onların da muhatap oldukları muameleleri bir defa insani bulmuyoruz. Bu ayrı. Bir defa
Peki bir daha alalım.
Wait, what?
onların da muhatap oldukları muameleleri bir defa insani bulmuyoruz. Bu ayrı.
What happened to him? What do you mean what happened to him? He was already he was already a cultist Islamist even back then. He always was. But he was a conniving, cunning politician, so he was just saying whatever he wanted to say to get Western support.
Bir defa
Peki bir daha alalım.
yani eşcinsellerin de kendi hak ve özgürlükleri çerçevesinde bir defa yasal güvence altına alınması şart. Zaman zaman bazı televizyon ekranlarında onların da muhatap oldukları muameleleri bir defa insani bulmuyoruz.
Ne demek? İkinci tarafı ne? Muhatap oldukları insani bulmuyoruz. Ne demek? Anlamıyorum ben onu. Lan vallahi Türkçeyi mi unuttum amına koyayım? Nece konuşuyor bu herif? Ben ya vallahi unuttum yani herhalde bazı sözleri. Ne diyor anlamıyorum. Like he's saying adam ya ikinci tarafını anlamıyorum ne dediğini. He's saying that the people who are anti-LGBT are being inhumane towards the gay community. Is that what he's saying? Or is he saying that like the way that the LGBT on television is like misbehaving? Onu biz 20 senedir anlamıyoruz, sen rahat ol.
Vay.
Ya işte bakın görüyorsunuz. Bu kadar kabuk değiştirebilen hızla.
Yeah, this is means Turkish TV channels that show LGBT people are not good. No, I don't think he's saying that. What? Bahçeli talking about
Çok
Jesse
yerde
James?
tekrarladım. Malatya'da da tekrarlıyorum. Malatya yiğitler
What the fuck? Jesse James is an American cowboy. What? Dude, don't show me this fucking guy. I don't want to even look at this guy, okay? No, this is too much. He's the I just don't know. Wait, what? Seçimin son günü.
gönlü Toroslar kadar yüce, gönlü Akdeniz kadar engin, Türkmen uşaklarına sesleniyorum. Hans, Sam, Tony.
Fuck, dude. This is the ultra nationalists, okay? JJJ. This is MHP, okay? They are the ultra nationalist, psychotic fucking right wing nationalist party, okay? And he's speaking out to the entire Turkic world. You know how like I'll sometimes say like, you know, the Native Americans are Turkish? Like these guys literally believe that, okay? They are the Grey Wolves, exactly. And he's I guess he's like doing a call out to all the fucking Western world.
Johnny, Herkel, Frank, alayı birden Türkiye'de Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'ı sikmeye kalksa.
Oh no, this is that. No, stop. Ya yapmayın oğlum, göndermeyin bana onu. He's saying all the names that he mentioned is trying to fuck Erdogan, but it's not. It's a misspeak. It sounds so stupid. Okay. I can't. Well, let's just move on. This is not serious. Stop. Ay. Erdogan wins.
Erdogan must be feeling pretty invincible right now after winning yet another election. However, he won't be for long because he's really pushed Turkey's economy to the brink to pull off this win. So now as the lira nosedives and his unorthodox mix of solutions is starting to crumble, the Turkish economy is rapidly nearing its breaking point. Just to illustrate,
the thing is, I don't even understand. Like, I mean, he has strangled the Turkish lira. Okay. However, and you can't do that unless you're America. You can't just like, a lot of other countries think that they could just like print as much money as they want without any sort of like, financial feedback. Okay. But it doesn't work that way because, only America gets to do some version of modern monetary theory, which they're not really doing, but like they could do, you know what I mean? Because America is the world's bank. When Turkey does it, especially if you're sometimes in opposition to the United States, like your currency is going to get hyper devalued. Okay. Meanwhile, considering that your economy is pegged to the dollar, everything is going to become more and more expensive, even though your currency is devalued. However, because of the way that Turkey presents itself in the global marketplace, you don't even necessarily get the influx of foreign capital into Turkey that would then come in. Okay, that would then come in and basically like purchase everything for pennies on the dollar, because at least, you know, back when I used to cover this kind of stuff, I mean, when I even worked many, many years ago at Haberturk, Bloomberg Haberturk, many years ago, one thing that foreign capital always, the perspective that foreign capital always had about the Turkish economy is that it is incredibly corrupt. And there's a lot of truth to that, which is why people don't want to do a lot of investment in Turkey. So that's another reason why the economy doesn't even recover and doesn't even see the supposed quote unquote benefits that you would possibly get from your devalued currency.
How little time the country has left, the Financial Times has reported that in the 6 weeks leading up to the first election round, Turkey's central bank lost roughly 15% of its foreign exchange reserves in an effort to prevent the lira from falling faster than it already did. So the market participants are now increasingly betting on an imminent default of the Turkish government, and this means that Turkey could soon join countries like Lebanon, Sri Lanka and Argentina to become the latest economic basket case. But why now? Why is Turkey's economy now reaching a breaking point after it held out so much longer than many analysts predicted? And is there any way that it can still be saved? To answer these questions, let's first do a quick recap of the two big problems that have been plaguing the Turkish economy. For years now, while the Turkish economy grew at an impressive pace, its currency, the lira, kept falling, contributing to sky-high inflation in Turkey as imports kept getting more expensive. Luckily, economists and the Turkish government largely agreed on the two big problems, leading to the lira's rapid decline. We'll dive into those two details after I tell you all about the sponsor of today's video, the Daily Upside. As anyone who spends time consuming financial content is well aware,
Holy fuck, that's a long-ass sponsor.
Lira's rapid decline. The first problem was a massive trade deficit, meaning that for years Turks have been importing more than they export. This has consistently put pressure on the Turkish lira. After all, to buy foreign goods, you need foreign currency. And so, on average, for import-focused Turkey, there was a lot more demand for foreign currency than for the Turkish lira. The second problem was rapid dollarization, meaning that in essence, a small dollar-based economy grew inside Turkey that was getting bigger and bigger as Turks increasingly felt that their own currency was losing its value too.
This is precisely the reason why I said, is that true? Yes. This is literally the reason why it doesn't matter, like when, this is why it's significantly more devastating when the dollar, the price of a dollar, it becomes more powerful in comparison to the Turkish lira, because the entire fucking economy operates on the dollar all of a sudden.
Fast. Ironically, this made the lira fall even more as Turks increasingly sold their liras so that they could save in dollars, euros or gold. But while economists and the Turkish government basically agreed on these two problems, they didn't agree on a solution. You see, the standard way that economists recommend that you deal with a currency that is falling too fast is to raise interest rates. This will simultaneously discourage banks from lending into...
Dude, listen, I know that Turkey Turkey is a very interesting country when it comes to its foreign policy. Like, they're part of NATO, but they also are like always collaborating with the Russian government, and they have a much more neutral stance towards Russia. However, what would be truly interesting and kind of awesome is if they had a more collaborative relationship with China. Now, I don't know if they will do that. I'm not entirely familiar with like Chinese-Turkish relations. I know that like Erdogan talks about the Uyghur Turks regularly because he's like, they're Turks. They're Turkic. They're our people. But I don't know how, I don't know how much he cares about that ultimately. I have heard him talk about it before. He doesn't. He ignores it. Uygurları götüne takmıyor. Okay, well, he never talked about Uyghurs. No, they see it as they see Uyghur Turks as like I mean, there are literally Uyghur Turks in fucking Syria. What are you talking about? The Turkish military trains some of the Uyghurs. 100%. They used to. I don't know if they still do. But if you think that they don't, you're wrong. They train them in collaboration with the American government as well. What the Erdogan government says versus what they do is two entirely different things. You have to remember that. He ignores it and sweeps under the rug for the most part. Çin'in anlaşma yaptıkları için susuyorlar. Okay, well, I don't know what their relationship is going to be with China, but that could be one avenue of some kind of economic revival, potentially.
To an economy that is running too hot, decreasing inflation, and it will also make the currency more attractive for both foreign investors as well as local Turks by offering a higher return. However, Turkey's President Erdogan famously hates high interest rates, be it for religious reasons, saying stuff like this at his rallies.
Onların dolarları varsa bizim Allah'ımız var.
Or some say that he believes in a highly
Ulan Allah ne yapacak? Ekmeğin fiyatı hala neyse ne yani. Onu istediği kadar istediği kadar Allah Ekber de olmaz yani. Ekmek hala 5 lira 10 lira. Oh no, that's crazy. He said the notion of like being anti-usury because you're Muslim is pretty funny. Islam does consider usury to be a sin. So does Christianity, technically. Out of the Abrahamic religions, the only one that doesn't consider usury to be a sin is Judaism. However, it doesn't really matter. Everybody loves interests. Everybody loves debt. It's fucking ridiculous to claim that like he has any kind of like religious purpose behind it. I don't think that's the reason.
Orthodox economic theory that predicts that interest rates that are high actually cause higher inflation. But whichever it is, he often ordered the central bank to lower interest rates precisely when standard economic theory would advise that you raise them. And this is why economists have long been predicting the collapse of the lira. However, as I discussed on this channel at the end of 2022, this did not lead to the collapse of the lira at the time because Erdogan's government was tackling the lira's fall using some highly unorthodox solutions. First, Turkey's central bank sold off a lot of its foreign exchange reserves to prop up the lira, and then when it basically ran out, it convinced former geopolitical rivals in the area to lend it foreign exchange reserves in exchange for political favors so that it could keep propping up the lira. Second, to counter dollarization, it started its so-called lirarization strategy. Now, in effect, this meant that Turks, which had foreign currency, could open a special deposit account for which the government would compensate them with more liras if the lira fell so much that the owner would have been better off keeping the dollars. And actually, this worked for a while, halting dollarization, stabilizing the lira, and this gave the Turkish government some time to tackle its other big problem, its trade deficit. However, despite some successes like opening a massive new gas field in the Black Sea, Turkey's trade deficit got wider than ever before. Now, the most likely explanation for this is that throughout 2023, Erdogan encouraged the Turkish banks to extend more and more credit, and this new money in Turkish hands was spent buying more stuff in Turkey, increasing inflation, and it was also spent outside of Turkey, driving the value of the lira lower. And so, after some relative stability, the lira continued its fall, and this now means that Turkey's economy is nearing a breaking point. You see, the fall of the lira is now undermining both of Erdogan's unorthodox solutions. First, while the Gulf states have been willing to support the lira in exchange for political influence, its continued slide is making it riskier and riskier for them to keep lending dollars to Turkey because of the decreased chance that Turkey can pay them back. And as we've seen with Pakistan recently, While Gulf states have deep pockets, they are not prepared to back countries indefinitely. Second, while Erdogan's lira deposit scheme was a big success, it was also rather risky. You see, if it worked in stabilizing the lira, it wouldn't cost the Turkish government anything. After all, they only need to pay out extra compensation if the lira loses value. But now that the lira keeps sliding, the Turkish state will have to pay these deposit holders a lot of extra liras, which could force it to start printing them, which could further devalue the currency. In other words, Erdogan's innovative but risky liraization strategy could now lead to a doom loop of paying deposit holders with newly printed currency, which devalues the lira, and so on. But will it, or can Erdogan save the lira once more? Well, that is highly uncertain. So, as I often do on this channel, I shall present you with 3 scenarios and give them all a likelihood. The first scenario is another Turkish miracle. In this scenario, the Turkish government convinces Arab backers to give them once again more money. At the same time, having won the election, the newly elected government now takes steps to cool down bank lending in the country, which combined with rising gas production reduces domestic inflation and turns Turkey's trade deficit into a surplus. This will eventually halt the fall of the lira and increases the chances that its liraization policy is also a success. Sadly, I don't think this scenario is very likely and give it a 15% likelihood since the Turkish central bank is running out of reserves so fast. Just to get an idea of how fast, while Turkey secured almost $20 billion loans from Arab states last year, it just burned through 17 billion in reserves in the 6 weeks just before the election. The next 2 scenarios are therefore breaking point
Gönderin, link
scenarios.
gönderin. Canlı
However,
söylüyorsa
they play out
şarkı.
very differently. In the second scenario, Erdogan once again surprises
Send me a link
friend and
of him
foe and
singing.
returns to economic orthodoxy. In this scenario, the central bank will raise interest rates and the government will get an IMF loan. To appease them, however, it will introduce austerity
clip.
measures. This will lead to a
need a
painful
link for
economic
the live
recession,
stream.
which will
You can't-
eventually stop.
Muhalif seçmene ne söyleyecek?
Onlara ne diyecek?
Yani sonuçta bir 25 milyon insan şu anda
Is he
beklemediği bir
singing?
sonuçla karşılaştı. Yani ilk turdan önce zaten hiç beklemiyordu. Ben şöyle söyleyeyim, yani ben CHP'nin önemli yöneticileriyle görüştüğümde biz kabineyi konuşuyoruz diyorlardı. Şu an bir seçim
No, not this. Okay.
Biz severiz. Kandil'dekiler sevmez.
People in the Kandil don't like it, but we like
Onların
it.
uzantıları sevmez.
Their extensions don't
Ama
like
biz
it,
severiz.
but we love it. I don't know what he's
İşte
talking about.
şu andaki tablo sevgililerin tablosu.
Baron Cat.
Resmi rakam.
Sakuragor, thank you for the 10.
320 bin kişi şu anda burada. Yolları
Kandil is
söylemiyorum.
PKK. Oh.
Havalimanından buraya kadar yollar maşallah tıklım tıklımdır.
He's saying it's packed. The roads are slammed all the way from here to the airport.
Sizler Cumhur İttifakı'nı mahcup etmediniz. Cumhur İttifakı'nı bu yolda yalnız komadınız.
You did not leave our
Bu yolda beraber
our coalition
yürüdük.
behind. You protected us.
Gece gündüz demeden yürüdük.
We kept
Ve
walking night and
sizler
morning.
bu görevi yine bizlere verdiniz.
You gave us the job once again.
Türkiye 100 yılını beraber inşa ve ihyaya devam ediyoruz.
We're going to keep building for the next
Hazır
100
mıyız buna?
years.
Aziz milletim, ekranları başında bizleri izleyen kıymetli vatandaşlarım.
All of you that are watching in
Sevgili
home,
Ankaralılar.
at home. The people of Ankara. I don't know what they're saying. Ne diyorlar lan?
Değerli dava ve yol
İşte
arkadaşlarım.
ordu, işte komutan.
Sizlere en
Oh, they're
kalbi
saying
duygularımla,
here is the military. This is our military. This is our commander.
Cumhurbaşkanlığı seçiminin ikinci turu. Hamdolsun kayda değer herhangi bir sıkıntı, sorun yaşanmadan tamamlanmıştır.
Bro, look, Kahramanmaraş, 75% Erdogan, bro.
Gayri resmi
75% Erdogan.
göre milletimiz Cumhurbaşkanlığı görevini
There you go.
5 yıllığına daha
That's
bizlere
fucking
tevdi
crazy.
etmiştir.
So I need you to understand. I need you to understand something. Like, this dude is popular as fuck. Okay.
Bizleri tekrar
The
layık
idea that
gören
he's not
milletimin
popular is
her
not
bir
true. He
ferdine
is still incredibly fucking
şükranlarımı
popular.
sunuyorum.
It's still, like, I would go so far as to say he's more popular than any fucking American leader. You know what I mean? Like, in the United States of America, the plurality doesn't vote, right? In a country like Turkey, this dude's real popularity is probably higher than like an American president's popularity at any given
Yurt
moment.
içinde ve yurt dışında sandık başına giderek iradesine sahip çıkan
Is it because he owns the press?
demokrasimizin gücünü
It's because he owns the
ispatlayan
press. It's a multitude of different reasons I've mentioned before. Aha,
teşekkür
kilis.
ediyorum.
Amına koyayım. Kilise bak 69 vermişler. Yuh.
Bu süreçte seçimin en
70%
sağlıklı şekilde yürümesi için
Where my grandparents are from.
Görev yapan-
A vote for Erdogan.
kamu personelini,
Aha,
parti
Konya.
temsilcilerini,
Konya'dan bekliyoruz
sandık
ama bunu.
görevlilerini, müşahitleri, emniyet mensuplarını,
The Alabama
diğer
of Turkey.
herkesi tebrik ediyorum. Çok partili siyasi hayatımızın en önemli seçimlerinden birinde milletimiz kararını Türkiye yüzyılından yana kullanmıştır. Seçimin ilk turunda milletimiz Türkiye Büyük Millet Meclisi üyelerinin çoğunluğunu Cumhur İttifakı'na vererek yasamadaki tercihini
Yes, katılım means
zaten
turnout.
ortaya koymuştur. Bugün yapılan ikinci tur seçimiyle
İşkodra'dan selamlar mı lan?
milletimizin Cumhurbaşkanlığındaki yani yürütmedeki tercihi de kesinleşmiştir.
Why do they like him so
Milletimizin her
much? Because he's like a fucking religious cult-like leader, brother. He tugs on the heartstrings in a very weird way. He is like the singular force of the singular champion of the Islamic world in the eyes of a lot of people. He's like he's like restoring the caliphate and the Ottoman Empire to all of its glory. They think that like he is literally like God King. You know what I mean? That's his guy. Partially, and this is controversial, and I think Turkish people might get mad at me for saying this, but partially because there was a lot of religious oppression. There was a decent amount of religious oppression, but it's the same fucking conservative rhetoric and the conservative mentality in Turkey. They saw him from the jump as like the defender of Muslims. That like the government since Atatürk, since its inception, has always defended like Western liberalism and principles like that. So him like basically fucking turning around. It's like kind of wild to see like a photo of Atatürk, the founder of Turkey, side by side with him, because like he literally went to jail for shitting on Atatürk. You know what I mean? Like he is not a fan. Their fan base are not a fan, but that actually changed a little bit in the rhetoric over the course of the past 5 years, 10 years, I would say, where they basically decided, no, we are actually like pro Atatürk, but they never were originally. Originally, the opinion was that like the original opinion was that like Atatürk is a drunk, he's a bad guy, he was a Western element, and he actually tampered the Islamist movement within the country. And now they actually still, from one side of their mouths, shit on him, which is a big no-no in Turkey. And then on the other side, they say, no, actually, he's very similar. His principles are similar to our principles.
85 milyonun hep beraber olmasından kaynaklanıyor. Şimdi burada ben hesap uzmanı değilim. Ama hesap uzmanının hesabında galiba bir yanlışlık var.
Will he win again in 5 years? Bro, I don't fucking know. Dude, a lot can change from here to next week in Turkey, okay?
2018'de CHP vekil sayısı
CHP.
146 idi. Hesap yapıyoruz ya. 2023'te vekil sayısı 169. Gördüğünüz gibi bir artış var. Fakat burada kiralık vekiller var. 40 tane
I
kiralık
guess you
vekil.
can't say that 129 is bigger than 146.
Bu milletvekilleri sayısını düşürene de
So I guess
haydi diyemezsiniz.
you can say it's okay if you drop down the number of your MPs from 146 to 129.
Bir video çekimiyle haydi diyebilirsiniz ama
Ben
So most
Kemal
probably
Gelin.
this person in question can say, come on, with a video shoot together with the Candle
düşmüş
Mountain
durumda.
terrorists, but this nation didn't fall into your trap because you have already lost 17 of your MPs.
Sassy X Bell, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. He's not legally allowed for a third run. Bitch, what do you mean? There's like 11 different components that he overrode just to
My dear
fucking
brothers
run
and
this time
sisters.
around. What are you talking about?
What
He
was
can,
he saying?
This is his third run. He can run as many times as he wants, bro. He
He was
changes the
saying
rules
that if
every
you
time.
want
What are you
to
talking about? There's no fucking rules for Erdogan. Bro, he changed the law. So he did a referendum. He utilized the momentum and the martial law that was set in order after the fucking coup d'etat that failed to literally put forward a referendum and change the Turkish constitution from a parliamentary structure to a presidential one where he consolidated power. He already had all of the power, but he already had all of the power regardless. But now he basically solidified the power that he had, okay? He made it legal, okay? It doesn't fucking matter what the rules are. He is very similar. I know I say like Erdogan is similar to Donald Trump in many ways, but he's actually very similar to Vladimir Putin. Like it's a much better comparison in my opinion, okay? Very, very similar to Vladimir Putin in the same exact way. His modus operandi is like pretty much identical to Vladimir Putin, and he is more shrewd than Donald Trump is.
Adalet mülkün esasıdır.
Justice is the basis of the state, according to our understanding, and that cannot be changed.
And the people that are saying he's going to die of colon cancer soon, motherfucker, he's been supposedly dying of colon cancer for 20 years, okay? Get the fuck out of here. You can't rely on him possibly dying of colon cancer, okay? It's just, that's never going to happen.
Rahmetli Menderes'in yeter söz milletindir diyerek.
As Menderes was saying, enough is enough. The word belongs to the nation. So the doors of a brand new era has been opened back then in 1950s, and as of 1950s we have been faced with many challenges, and behind all those challenges, of course,
Erdoğan daha
there was
100
the
yıl daha
process of
yönetecek
weakening
size
the strength
kudur
of Turkey.
FETÖ'cüler.
That's why the coups
Oğlum
have been
FETÖ'cülerin
plotted,
amına
and that's
koyayım ben. Ne gerizekalı
why the
adamsın. Milli
memorandums
irade
have been
tecelli oldu
given, and
kudur
that's why
FETÖ'cü.
the coalition governments
And
have
of course,
been formed.
and of course, this man's fucking dogs are coming in here to be like, dude, you're FETÖ'cü. Yeah, dude, totally. I'm a very religious guy. Yeah, I'm from the same... You think I'm a supporter of the same fucking religious cult that this fucking dickhead was a part of? Get the fuck out of here.
Economic potential to be tapped, unfortunately, have been prevented for this very reason.
Güneyindeki kuzeyindeki,
In
batısındaki
eastern,
güç ve
western,
etki alanlarının
northern,
üzeri
and southern
bunun için örtülmüştür.
part of our country, our area of
Üzerimize
influence have
giydirilen
been indeed
ve bize
tarnished and
dar
covered.
gelen deli gömlekleri içinde
So inside of
yıllarca boğanların
those
korkusu hep
shapes that have been
bugün
imposed
müjdesini
to
verdiğimiz
us, we have
Türkiye
been
100
indeed
yılının
asphyxiated
bir gün
with the
gelip
climate of fear. But
kapılarına
even under such
dayanacak.
circumstances, we have always
Bugün
heralded the
işte
good news, saying
gündür.
that the century of
Siz
Turkey
burada bugün
will be knocking on
onun
our
için
doors. So this
varsınız.
is that very day, and this is why you are here with us.
Bugün rahmetli Menderes'in uğruna
Today,
canını verdiği demokrasi ve kalkınma hamlelerimizin en üst seviyeye
is the
ulaşma
day
günüdür.
when we are
Bugün
making
rahmetli
sure that
Özal'ın
our democratic
son
reforms
nefesine
and
kadar
economic
hep
development
peşinde
reaches to the
koştuğu
peak point.
büyük Türkiye
Today
hayalinin
is the
gerçeğe
day
dönüşme sürecinin başlama günüdür.
of the initiation
Rahmetli
for
Erbakan'la
realizing the
rahmetli
century of
Türkeş'e,
Turkey.
davalarına aşkla bağlı milletin tüm
Özal
adamlarının
dreamt for it.
mücadelelerinin
Today is
gayesine
the
ulaşma günüdür.
day where we are yielding the results
Bugün
of
bizim
all those important
21
statesmen
yıldır
like
ülkemize
Erbakan.
kazandırdığımız
Today
eserlerin, milletimize yaptığımız hizmetlerin
Is the
üzerine
day
Türkiye 100 yılının
when
müjdesini
we herald the good news of the century of Turkey, which will be built onto the achievements of the last 21 years. And we have done this together with you, and we will build the century of Turkey together with you.
hem kendi vatandaşlarımızın
Today
hem de kendi geleceklerini bizimle birlikte gören
is the day
ve
of our
kardeşlerimizin
own citizens, our nationals, and at the same time our brothers and sisters who see their future together with us, and their prayings are also heard. When the ballot boxes are closed, we have received many phone calls from the Gulf countries all the way to the UK, to the Russia. All the heads of state have congratulated me, and
devam edeceğini görüyoruz.
I also see that those congratulations messages will continue tomorrow. For the last 10 years, many traps have been set against Turkey, many dirty games have been played, and Turkey has been tried to be stabbed in the back, and Turkey has tried to be stumbling upon, and all of those games have been played in order to prevent this day. The German and the French journals and also the English journals were making headlines in order to make sure that Erdogan
No, it's not going to be about Turkey all day today, man. Shut the fuck up. It's like, it's only been 2 hours, okay? This is a pretty fucking important election. We're going to get to the debt ceiling in a second. Don't
You
worry.
have seen all those alliances set against us for many months, and you have seen whom are cooperating with who. So from all those terrorist organizations to the deviant movements, you have seen who was standing against us, and you have seen all those dirty games played. But what happened in the end? Thanks to God, they didn't achieve and they didn't accomplish their targets. Hopefully from now on, they will not be able to achieve anything, because this nation has such a solid character and has such a strong wisdom, and this nation has shown it after every calamity and challenge that they have faced with. So for this very reason, it's not possible for anyone to find the weakness of this Turkish nation, so anyone who tries it will lose again. Only throughout the latest election, what we have witnessed showed us this principled and honorable stance of our nation. As long as we have such a strong bridge of love between us and our nation, if God is willing, there is no problem that we cannot solve, and there is no fight that we cannot win.
So,
Once again, I would like to express that I am grateful to my God for making me one of the members of this great nation. My august nation, my dear brothers and sisters, as the elections are over, we can allocate all our time and all our energy to work, to create masterpieces and to serve to this nation.
Asrın felaketi 6 Şubat depremlerinin yaralarını sarmak.
In order to heal the wounds inflicted by the disaster of the century, the 6th
Is this
of
a good guy or a
February
bad guy? No,
earthquakes,
he's
and
a
in
very
order to
bad
make sure
guy.
that our citizens are clinging back to life and reconstruct all those cities, we will continue to work day and night. It will be one of our priorities. Not only our hearts, but our hands will always be over the quake region in order to tackle the problems arising out of the increasing level of inflation and in order to make sure that we are compensating the losses of welfare. We will focus on those areas. Of course, it is not hard for us to tackle those problems.
Like, people who are like, oh, what's so bad about Erdogan? Dude, imagine like Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin had sex and you know, they fused. They did the fusion dance, and that's been happening for like 30 years, okay? They've just been doing the fusion dance for 30 years. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I it's just everything that reactionary, backwards ass, like fundamentalist ass, you know, hyper authoritarian governments would do, he has done. Okay? So just normal USA? No, bitch. No. The United States has not experienced something like this yet. The United States' corporate corruption can only go so far. Okay? Sorry. The United States, like, individual corruption by political leadership can only go so far. It's nothing like that. The United States is led by corporations, okay? This is a little bit different. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is the corporation. Think about it like that, okay? He's the corporation that runs the country, if you want to think about it from like a corporate standpoint. Like, this is different. Like, I don't know how to describe it in American, with American terms. Like, Trump can't go so far for his own, to line up his own pockets, okay? In the same way that Erdogan has so successfully.
Cannot intervene in the political destiny of Turkey. I am the Prime Minister of Turkey, I said back then. You will only receive your installments and your payments, I said. So what happened later? Till 2013, we continued to pay our debts. In 2013, we paid our last debt to them, and then we parted our ways with IMF. That is who we are. But what was the CHP saying? You should borrow loan from IMF. That is what you do, not us. And today is the day. 10 years have passed and we didn't receive any loan from IMF. And back then, the forex reserve of our central bank was $27.5 billion. What did they do? They said that they will bring $3 billion from UK, but they will not give you a single penny. So the long sharks know very well to whom they will give their money.
Your subs think it's because he's somewhat good, because he seems like he's immigrant friendly. He's using them. He's the reason why there's a civil war in Syria. So, Recep Tayyip Erdogan did take in 10 million immigrants, which is like a profound thing, even if it wasn't for humanitarian purposes. He took the 10 million immigrants, he took the 10 million refugees from Syria because he wanted to use them against the European Union, okay? He used them against the European Union. Now, 10 million in a country like Turkey, which only has 90 million people total, okay, over the span of like 5 fucking years is a lot, okay, especially for a poor country. So what he did basically is take on the refugees so he could fucking turn around. Okay, he could turn around and tell Europe, like, well, I'll release them to you if you ever piss me off. Whether there was a journalist that was like upsetting him or anything like that, he would just turn around and go, hey, thank you for the money. Thank you for the money that you guys gave us to house these migrants, which doubtful that he actually utilized the money to house these migrants at all. Okay? Abi sen neden mülteci düşmanlığı yapıyorsun? Hayır, ben mülteci düşmanlığı yapmıyorum. Ben mültecileri savunuyorum ama aynı zamanda Erdoğan'ın neden yaptığını anlatıyorum. Bu mülteci düşmanlığı değil. Salak salak konuşma. You defend illegals in America. Okay, my lord. I'm not saying that it's bad that he did that. I said it's profound, okay? But the real reason why he did that is, of course, not because he cares about the humanity of the Syrian population. If he cared about the humanity of the Syrian population or the Syrian refugees, he would be doing reintegration programs, okay? He would be working on housing initiatives, not necessarily using this massive population as a talking point against the European Union whenever he sees fit. Okay? He did it originally for money and also so he could use it as a political pawn. Anytime European leadership frustrates him in any capacity, he turns around and he says, all right, I'll literally send them to the border of Greece right now. Okay? What should have happened, Erdogan used the immigrants in 2020, sending them to the borders. It was really worrying. Yeah, like what he should have done was work on reintegration measures and try to do his very best. But instead, that never happened. He took the money, he pocketed it, just like every other fucking time that there's been any kind of like cash inside of Turkey. And since then, he's just been using the other reason why the Syrian migrant thing, like the other way that he utilized the Syrian migrant situation was also by presenting himself once again as the leader of the Islamic world. Okay? This way, he can show to the rest of the Islamic world that he is in support of Muslims all around the world. He's defending Muslims all around the world. And as far as I understand, and I don't know what the actual situation is, but that got him a lot of support from. That basically got him a lot of support from the people that are in this crowd that see it as like a restoration of the caliphate. Okay.
Project from tourism to sport, from energy to economy. We have achieved centennial works for our homeland, and of course we will improve our
Would the CHP
benchmark.
kick the migrants out? Fuck no. No, they can't. They can't fucking do that. There's anything that the opposition says about like what they will do to the refugees is also bullshit. Okay. No, they would not do that, and they can't really do that
In
either.
line with the dreams and the targets of our young people, there is no rest for the
CHP
weary. We will
gönderecek
not
%100
stop.
inanmıyorum buna. %100 inanmıyorum. Nereye gönderecekler amına koyayım? Nereye? Nereye gönderecekler? Avrupa'ya mı gönderecekler? Nereye gönderecekler? Yeah. He also used them for cheap labor. They literally passed a legislation that allows refugees to work without insurance. It's illegal to work without insurance in Turkey. Yeah, it created yet another structure for a permanent underclass in an identical capacity to the United States of America.
On a global scale, and we will strengthen the position of Turkey as a hub. Likewise, Mr. Putin
hap bölgesi olması konusunu bu tebrik mesajında
has once again repeated that the Thrace region should be a hub in his congratulation message. We will take additional steps in that regard, and we will turn the Thrace region into an energy hub. So we will also improve the brand value of our defense industry.
What do most people in Turkey think about the refugees?
In the field,
the conservative side likes the refugees because they are brothers in Islam, and the liberal side is actually very anti-refugee. I'll just say it in the most honest way possible. There is a lot of animosity towards Arab people across the board in the liberal side because, unfortunately, Recep Tayyip Erdogan has presented himself as. I mean, this goes back to even before the refugees that came to Turkey. Turkish people have always felt insecurities about being compared to the Arab world. They always have seen themselves as like something different. It's kind of like how the non-Muslim Lebanese will say they're Phoenician. If you ever tell like a Christian Lebanese person that they're Arab, they will get very mad at you. It's kind of like that. Yeah. So I've dealt with racism in Turkey as an Arab visiting for tourism. A lot of liberal Turks think they're European, not Middle Eastern. Yes. This is definitely an attitude that people have. For sure. There's like two. If I were to cut it in half, like there's two different components here. On the one side, you have the Islamist, more fundamentalist, more religious Turks, oftentimes in like rural areas of Turkey, that want to restore the former glory of the Ottoman Empire. He's the Islamic Caliphate's like restoration. He is the one who's like defending Islam against the Western perverts and the moral degeneracy. And on the other side, you have the liberals who are like, no, we are not like Arabs. We are not like Muslim. We're actually, even if some of us are Muslim, we're very progressive. We are eventually one day going to join the European Union. And both sides are huffing in copious amounts of copium. Okay, that is the reality. Like, I'll just tell it to you how as it is. Now, obviously, one side's understanding of how the country should be run is closer to mine, at least, and that is the liberal side, who do happen to be more secular, who do happen to believe in like civil liberties and whatnot. But the secular liberal side certainly still has a lot of animosity, a lot of xenophobic animosity, and a lot of anti-Arab sentiment, because they see all of the Arabs that have come in with foreign capital into Turkey under the Erdogan regime as like an invasion of capital, basically, an invasion of foreign capital at the behest of Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And they see Arabs as like lesser than. They see them as like fundamentalist, religious. And in some instances, the Arabs that are, of course, coming into Turkey, who collaborate with Erdogan, are fundamentalists. They are religious, right? Like you have the Wahhabist elements and whatnot. So, but that doesn't mean that all Arabs are like that, obviously. And there is still that kind of sentiment regardless, this idea, this like anti-Arab sentiment regardless. Okay? The same goes for the Syrian refugees that Erdogan took in as well. It's just another extension of that. So that's what it is. That's why you'll see, I mean, I don't really cover this too much, but that's why you'll see a lot of like liberals who normally like what I have to say when I'm shitting on Erdogan, greatly deviate away from my perspective with respect to like Syrian migrants in Turkey. My issue with Syrian migrants in Turkey revolve around their treatment and their conditions, which Erdogan is using as like slave labor, basically, and also a political pawn across the board. I've said this over and over again. No matter what happens, I think that taking in refugees is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But taking in refugees, especially a massive amount of refugees in a short period of time, is always going to come with a sequence of complications. So what you're supposed to do is focus immediately on reintegration and integration efforts, language programs, work training programs, and things of that nature, with a hope that you can inevitably create a successful pathway towards citizenship instead of keeping them as second-class citizens within your borders who will be subject to a tremendous amount of economic oppression. And of course, when you are when you're subjected to that reality, okay, when you are second-class citizens, you're working for pennies on the fucking dollar. Of course, you are going to be. The same cycle of poverty and violence is going to happen within your communities. It's not even different than. It's not even any different than what happens in Europe as well. Okay.
Dolayı teşekkür ediyoruz. Şimdi de Cumhur İttifakımızın değerli genel başkanlarını sizlere takdim ediyoruz.
All right. Well, that was it. That was President Erdogan's victory speech made there at the presidential complex in Ankara. He made an initial speech here in Istanbul.
As someone who admittedly doesn't know much about Turkey, I figured they were Arabs. Can you explain how they're not? My own ignorance made me think Turkey is predominantly Muslim. Yes, Muslim doesn't mean Arab, my friend. Like Iranians are predominantly Muslim. They're not Arab. You know what I mean? Malaysia, Indonesia, like Indonesia is the largest, most populous Muslim nation on the planet. They're not Arab. There are plenty of places around the world that have that are not Arab that are Muslim. Turks are complicated to explain because, ethnically speaking, the Ottoman Empire was incredibly vast and incredibly powerful. And when you are a massive empire, you end up being hyper diverse, not dissimilar to what you see in the United States of America, for example. So while Turkish people are predominantly Turkic, that is their original ethnic background, there are still plenty of there's still so much diversity within Turkey. That's why you have, Slavic-looking, blonde, blue-eyed Turkish people. That's why you have Turkish people that look like me. And that's why you have Turkish people that also look, Arab. I mean, we talk about solving the root of the problem, but you don't talk about how Erdogan literally supplied weapons to ISIS. He wanted there to be 10 million refugees. He bolstered the civil war. He certainly did. And when he did that, he was doing it at the behest of the United States government. It's not like he did that on his own. That actually helped him out ultimately. But he was doing that under the watchful eye of the United States of America. That's the whole point. That's why I always say this motherfucker is he is absolutely in collaboration, in cahoots. In cahoots with the U.S. State Department. The idea that he's not is a silly one. Okay? There was a big difference in the path and quality of life between Ukrainian and other refugees here. The Ukrainian refugees were allowed to work immediately, and they got a lot of support. Other refugees do not. The quality and trajectory of their lives are so different. The integration of the Ukrainian refugees have more positive effects. There was such a big difference in vote distribution in Turkey. Here in the Netherlands, like 65% voted for Erdogan because the media they consume is so pro-Erdogan. The difference with people voting from abroad is staggering. People who can vote from a Turkish election from abroad are average more pro-Erdogan. Yeah, that is because they also benefit from the devaluation of the Turkish currency because, you know, they could just fucking go to Turkey and buy whatever the fuck they want to buy for much cheaper. They also don't experience living in Turkey. They experience living in a European social democracy. And then Turkey is just a, you know, a travel destination for them. A cheap getaway, exactly. The way the disdain that like Turkish people abroad, the way that they fucking see Turkey is so crazy. It's like they just don't give a shit. They don't see it. The way that they see it is like I don't know how to describe it. Like they just don't fucking care. They it's a cheap travel destination for them. You know what I mean? What the fuck? Why isn't this live?
They're hoping that they can have a sort of a more positive atmosphere in the future. Incidentally, also Joe Biden has.
By the way, this is the state. This is the state broadcaster, so they're going to be pro-Erdogan. They're going to be glazing him.
Getting onto this NATO theme as on the same track, saying we're NATO partners. We're looking forward to working with you again on a number of global challenges. I think it's also interesting to mention there are not only lots of world leaders who are very friendly with Turkey, so countries like Russia, Azerbaijan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Qatar, these are all sending congratulatory messages as well, and these were some of the very first to send these messages. But also, we've got messages from countries
everyone's
that
so
have not
excited.
been getting on at all well with Turkey in recent
They're
years.
wishing
So
Turkey
within a couple of
well.
hours or so,
They're
there was a
very
message from
excited about
the Armenian
Turkey.
Prime Minister. These two countries having not had diplomatic relations at all until the past year or so because of various different issues, but largely related to the Azerbaijan-Armenia war of a couple of decades ago. Also, Egypt, the two leaders there, not getting on at all. They're going through a rapprochement at the moment. Foreign ministers have had a meeting. Aid came from Egypt after the earthquakes, and there was an informal meeting of Recep Tayyip Erdogan and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi at the World Cup last year, and now there's talk even of a more formal meeting at some point in the near future. So not only sort of people who are great friends of Turkey, not only people who are falling somewhere in the middle, you would say, like some of the European Union leaders, but also people who have really been on bad terms with Turkey in the past, congratulating Recep Tayyip Erdogan at quite an early stage after his victory has been confirmed.
This is such a funny thing to consider here. Like you got like this British dude working for the Turkish state broadcaster trying to say Türkiye, which is like the new naming convention for Turkey, which is like the actual is how you say Turkish Turkey in Turkish. Like talking about how all of the allies and enemies alike are supporting Recep Tayyip Erdogan in the aftermath of this election.
Right,
it's like
live for us, Melinda. We've had the victory speech in Ankara, and earlier we had the victory speech in Istanbul, where you were. What has stood out for you in these two speeches by the president?
There were some similar sentiments echoed throughout both speeches, some common threads and some common refrains indicating just some particular more social areas that the President wanted to highlight. My colleague Andrew Hopkins was just talking about some of the more policy and political elements, but some of the social issues that he called out was really a bit of a nod to the acknowledgement that there will be a time of rebuilding and reuniting the country now. This has been a very polarising election campaign. It was hard fought. The first time it's gone to a second round in Turkish history, an indication that the country is somewhat divided. So the President made reference in his first speech, and he echoed it in that speech in Ankara, that this is not just a win for his supporters, for the AK Party, for himself personally. This is a victory for the 85 million people of Turkey. And he said that he was really going to make an effort to win in a way that no one would lose. So a nod there to the fact that this is really a time for the country to come back together after what has been a divisive campaign.
And Melinda, as you've stood there, you know, feeling the atmosphere, the mood today, and also in round one, what do you sense from the atmosphere and what people have told you that is that factor that has really pushed President Erdogan, you know, back to power, or to continue being in power for another 5 years as president?
Not just the people we've spoken to here today, but it's also been similar refrains and sentiments from people we've been speaking to right throughout these 2 weeks leading into the second round. It's really been a turn towards stability. It's that continuity and that security that it seems that people were really striving for. And that's perhaps not unusual. In tumultuous times, this is globally an economically tumultuous time, people are maybe a little bit more risk averse. They don't want to go perhaps with an untested, an unknown candidate, an untested politician as to how that is going to play out for them on the home front, on the economic front. So it really did seem as if there was this sense of trust. And that is what people have turned to once again when they came out to vote in this second round. This idea that we know what has come before and nothing really is giving us any indication that there will be anything changing in the future insofar as a steady hand on the tiller as Turkey enters this new Turkish century.
Melinda Nusifora live from Istanbul. Thank you so much. All right, back now to Ali Can.
Maria, thank you very much. Joining me now in the studio is a very familiar face, Tarık Kozlu, Professor of International Relations at Istanbul's Aydın University, and another familiar face, Mehmet Akif Kireçi, also a Professor of International Relations at Ankara University of Social Sciences. They both join me now. We're coming to the end of our special coverage. It has been a long night, but we've just listened to the President speak in Ankara at the presidential complex in front of tens of thousands of people. I think one of the central themes in the president's speech was that Turkey is entering its new century with a strong identity, a new Turkey. And in this respect, I want to talk about how Turkish foreign policy, some of the challenges in its region, geopolitically, how this is likely to evolve in the coming years. Tarık, let me start with you. What do you think is sort of one of the biggest areas of interest?
I think the new term of President Erdogan will be the continuation of his performance over the last 10 years. The concepts of strategic autonomy, Ankara-centric foreign policy, multidimensional foreign policy, multidirectional foreign policy, and all of this taking place in an emerging multipolar international environment used to be at the center of Turkish foreign policy thinking, and this will continue, which suggests that Turkey will continue to play great powers off against each other. Turkey's relations with Russia will continue as it used to be so now. And
all the
Turkey will do
buzzwords. I mean,
everything
it is
possible
important.
From my own perspective, to improve the
Turkey's
relations with the
pathway.
European Union.
Turkey's pathway to success after all of this comes from China. Okay.